Okay, so this is my spoiler review of the new film Palm Springs, which you can now watch on Hulu. This is directed by Max Barbaco and written by Andy Sierra. It's also produced by Andy Samberg, and he stars in it with Cristin Milioti. So Palm Springs was one of the most interesting watches I've had this year, and I had a lot of conflicting thoughts about it. I was actually so blown away by the first 45 minutes of this hour and a half movie. I thought it was really good, really funny, and quick with it, as Andy Samberg always is. I'm a huge fan of Samberg's work, especially Hot Rod, and I think his humor always lands most of the time. But this movie was getting some really, really high praise, and I think it deserves high praise, but I don't think it deserves the level where some critics are saying that it's groundbreaking or it's a game changer. It's not that. The second half of the film falls into familiar territory you've seen over and over in rom-coms, and that's where it becomes a little disappointing. I think because it doubles up on an ending here where you see when Nyles sees Sarah's missing and then he's going after her, and then she comes back and then she leaves again to go in the cave because they can't agree on whether to restart this whole thing or not. So it doubles up on resolution in the last 45 minutes, and it kind of drags it in that sense where it's more rom than com, let's say, and that's fine. That's preference. I'm not putting that against the film, but it also just gets a little boring in that sense because it's so hard with rom-coms, especially at the end. They're so similar with how they resolve everything, but to do it for 45 minutes just felt like too much and too long. And seeing him reveal at the bar that he's missing the girl he's got her on after, we've seen that so many times. So no, it's not a totally groundbreaking film. I think that's a little bit of overpraise. But I do believe that this Groundhog's Day effect in the first 45 minutes really shines, and the humor just absolutely crushes. And I think the love part of it does really well in the first half as well. Something that really stood out to me with this character, Randy, who just dances hysterically at the wedding. He has some of the best lines in this film. Like, there's one sequence, there's an earthquake at the wedding, and he's being held back. And he's like, I should have never left the Great Lakes. This place is a nightmare. Or when at one point Sarah tries to set him up on Misty's cheating, and she gives him a blindfold, and he's like, okay, as long as I can wear my shirt. It's just hysterical. It makes no sense, and you see him walking in with his shirt on. It's just because he's insecure. It's just great. And from the top, Andy Samberg's always a joy to watch, and his character, Nyles, is so much fun because you feel him, you feel his loneliness, you feel his dour outlook on the world and just pretending not to care, as they say. And he's got great lines here from the top, like when he wakes up the first two times and sees Misty, and he just says, that's a good leg. Just, I love that about Andy Samberg, how he just can present really funny lines like that. And I just maybe even laugh the hardest in the movie, just little beats he does where when he first sees Sarah on the dance floor, but he's kind of like trying to impress her dancing with everyone, and he mirrors that one guy. I was just laughing my ass off. And how I'm saying the momentum here in the first half was just extraordinary is then when he goes and makes out with Sarah in the desert, and she's like, can't get his clothes off. He's like, yeah, I got it. And then she's like, you wear underwear under your bathing suit? And then the arrow from J.K. Simmons hits him. I thought that was just brilliant timing and comedic timing. I loved that whole sequence. And I'm talking about this awesome pacing and just not letting go, where once Sarah's in the loop and we as the audience figure out that this is the twist, that it's like a groundhog setup, then you get really funny moments just coming in and out, which I love, and them dying back and forth, and just seeing Tala on her wedding day fall at the pool and her teeth just get destroyed was great. And they just threw so many quick-witted lines in the beginning, like just Darla, this character at the bar, what Nyles says at the bar, I vow to never bring anyone to this life again. And Darla just says back, amen to that. I got my tubes tied when I was 40. That was just so good. And the desert setting really worked here for the film, being about two lost souls here colliding. And the character of Sarah was great as well, just like Nyles, where there's a bleak outlook on life. She's very anti-marriage now because she used to be in a marriage, doesn't believe in it anymore, doesn't really believe in love. And they both hit a point midway here where they just completely don't give a crap, but they do a good back and forth with the two of them where Sarah starts bringing up with him, why won't you talk about your past? That's part of the package here, and he's so in denial about it. But then it flips, and then he's really the one who's falling head over heels for her and finally puts down his shell, but she starts running away and starts facing the other twist we get, that she had an affair with her sister's husband, which was cool. They hinted that too, because every time she woke up, you heard the shower a little longer, so you can kind of connect the dots that someone was in that shower and it was important. And I really do think in the love aspect, the romantic aspect of this film, it worked the best. Even the sequence when Sarah was saying to Nyles about knowing about each other's past and how it's important, and he's kind of resisting, and they're both on mushrooms and they see the dinosaurs. There was something about her grabbing his hand there, that really hit well that first time you hold hand with someone you like. I thought that was really effective. And I just wish they kept that effectiveness and hitting these just sparks of moments that didn't feel tired. In other romantic comedies have been done so much, that kind of end up being what happens towards the end, which I think was a little disappointing, but I did really appreciate how they handled it in the first half. And they did really have just good twists constantly, and you can add that too when there's a big character moment when Nyles admits that, well, accidentally admits that he had actually slept with Sarah a bunch before and didn't tell her that. So they both have, obviously, their skeletons they have to eventually seeing each other, and that wraps out well at the end when Nyles has a line about he's seen her full package and it's good, and that's important, and he has that character turnaround. And Sarah's being that she's giving love a chance again. But they write Sarah well here. She has that important line at the end where she's like, I could still survive on my own. I don't actually need you, but it helps life be less mundane. So it's a very progressive, updated take on love, which I appreciate as well. I thought the shining moment, though, in the second half was actually the scene with J.K. Simmons as Roy, where Nyles goes to see him and his family. And one of the best lines in the movie is he's talking about his son. And he goes, little Joey's watering dog shit, that's weird. That was so funny. But where it drags is right after this again, where Sarah starts trying to figure out how to use this donkey to teleport. And it becomes this just resolution feeding act where it's tough when you set up a movie to be the climax for half of the movie. And I think, again, that's what makes you feel a little bored here. But I'm not totally against the second half. I just, again, wish it was a little more original. And I do think the last scene worked really well. Not when they're in the pool, but right before she's about to walk in the cave with him. I like how they did. She gives him one sentence, and he has to extend that one sentence, so he's adding all these different commas, exclamation points, just to extend the sentence longer. I thought that was really funny and worked. And it hitting that theme of he'd rather die with you blowing up in this cave than live in this world without you. So kind of hitting that we all need somebody in the end. So it thematically gives you that payoff as well. The writing has a goal where it wants to get to, and it effectively gets there. But it's almost like the first half's so good that it actually makes the second half look a little weaker. So it's hard to pull that off the whole way through. I just wish they kept that momentum. They kept more comedy in the second half, and they just got a little more original like they did in the first half with the second half, and stay away from kind of the tropes of a lot of romantic comedies that we've seen, like him running after her, them doubling up on an end here, dragging out the runtime without giving as much creative thought. So that will bring a little points down for me, but I still thought it was really, really well done and a lot of funny moments. So I'm giving this one an 8.8. Let me know what you thought of it down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I read every comment, try to respond as many as I can. Please make sure to subscribe. I can use any subscriber I can get. I'm trying to hit 30,000. One of my dreams has always been Rotten Tomatoes approved critic. If I can get to 30, I can hopefully get to getting approved for that. So I can use any help I can get. I appreciate every single one of you. And if you could share my reviews, that will also help as well. And please follow me at SteveVarley1 on Twitter and Instagram for more of me. And I'll see you next time.